so when we talk to like the scientists or when we talk to the fishermen, we definitely hear from them that, yeah, we used to catch a lot more winter flounder and there's not nearly as many of them. And we're seeing more of these other species instead. And then also just in Rhode Island waters in general, like the bay is definitely warming kind of the fastest, but we are definitely seeing shifts in species just, in our full ocean ecosystem kind of. And so we hear about some warmer water species kind of coming up from the south, or species that maybe we only used to have, sporadically kind of becoming a bigger part of our fisheries here. For example, like black sea bass was populations really used to be centered around kind of like North Carolina, Virginia, and now there's tons of black sea bass here in Rhode Island, and fishermen are allowed to catch. So it's all really depends kind of on a number of different things, I guess. Some being like what species it is, some being kind of the fishermen and their business model and how they operate, what permits they have, what fish they're allowed to catch. And so, yeah, there's a lot of factors involved. I've definitely heard from, fishermen that losing, certain species or having quotas reduced, because so management a lot of times is taking these changes into consideration. So like winter flounder, they're not allowed to catch nearly as many winter flounder as they historically could catch or whatever. And so in that case, like the fishermen follow the rules, like the scientists collect the data, the management makes the decisions on like, okay, now you're only allowed to catch this much versus like this, other volume that you were allowed to catch before. And then the fishermen have to kind of follow the rules. And I've definitely seen fishermen struggling with that for a number of different species, kind of as quotas have been reduced because maybe populations aren't as abundant as they were, them struggling to find other species or like make up kind of that lack of income that say winter flounder provided them, or like lobsters, another one that like we historically had quite large lobster fisheries here in Rhode Island, and we don't have as large lobster fisheries anymore. Perspective in terms of what species are being caught by the local fishermen, or just hearing kind of anecdotally from fishermen at times, we're definitely seeing, and just from reading the research as well, we're definitely seeing shifts. You'll hear kind of fishermen talk about how they'd love to be able to catch more black sea bass. We have so much black sea bass here, or things like that, but the management only allows them to catch a fairly small amount compared to what, say, North Carolina fishermen can catch. And like North Carolina fishermen don't have as many black sea bass as you used to. So sometimes I think that, a lot of what we call our 5 anchors, but our principles of sustainability in a place-based approach to sustaining New England seafood is that you have to be adaptable in your diets. And I think in consumers, we play a big role in helping the fisheries adapt and also the ecosystems adapt by being flexible kind of in our diets and eating what's actually in our local ecosystems and what the ecosystems are producing kind of in proportion to their natural abundance. So I think consumers actually play a big role in that. And so I just encourage everybody to kind of adapt their diets with the ecosystem changes that are happening.
By far, the number one biggest seller is salmon, is farm-raised salmon, which has always been a little strange to me because it's actually kind of one of the more flavorful, strong flavored fish, but people love it. And so that one, we get one that comes out of the Bay of Fundy, out of New Brunswick, Canada. Really, there's a spectrum of farms, really high-end, top-notch farm with really strong quality and environmental practices. Local fish, that's a little tougher. It's kind of like hake is really popular, which is kind of the species that we use in place of cod or haddock that most people are familiar with. And we do that because we find we're able to get hake at a better price, often better quality, and then the population is also just much stronger on that fish, so we feel a little bit more comfortable selling that. That's a popular one. Gray sole is a popular one as well, which is like similar to a flounder, a little bit fancier, a little bit more delicate. Black sea bass is a big one as well. So those white-fleshed fish that are either in the bass, flounder, or kind of cod-ish oriented category. Also tuna. So we have bought some, summer flounder, fluke from the Mid-Atlantic, which has been good. We obviously prefer to buy it out of Point Judith if we can. You know, not only quality reasons, because the fish tends to be a little bit better quality up here, for a combination of handling, water temperatures, but also then we're just supporting the local fleet and local distributors and things like that. So, yeah, so that, I think that's kind of the what's been going on with that species specifically. It's true in the summer, I think that the quota does open up a little bit more. Then you also have smaller day boats, like literally guys that are they're commercial fishermen, but this is kind of their, just almost like a hobby or a thing that they're doing on the side, or some of them do it, I think, for a living, but it's a seasonal thing. So it's like, my understanding, like, you know, teachers or firefighters or people that have some extra time to go out fish in the summer on very small, like one-man boats. And so usually we'll see pretty consistent supply of summer flounder in the summer for that reason. It's not one of those species like salmon. I mean, actually here, you know, on our new store here on Hope Street, a flatfish is definitely in high demand, to the point where it's something that we want to be carrying all the time. That the boats up here are subject to pretty strictly, and I don't have a great handle on, you know, how that adjusts. I know that recently, like over the winter, the local Rhode Island fleet, their quotas on flounder, on summer flounder, also known as fluke, are cut down significantly to like I think they can only take in like 50 pounds a day per boat, or maybe even maybe per week. It's a very low number. So a lot of guys won't even go fish for it locally in the wintertime, because the amount that they can get for that 50 pounds isn't going to justify the cost of fuel and labor to go out and go fish for it. But then by contrast, down in the Mid-Atlantic, those quotas are almost unlimited, or have been, you know, for this winter time. Any big glaring holes. I mean, I would say in terms of, like, you know, environmental impacts and I guess climate change, or those kind of concerns or changes, it's certainly a concern. You know, I mean, I think the big one, the conversation that you're hearing now is, yeah, warmer water temperatures tending to push species up farther. I think that winter flounder example, I didn't know. You know, that's a good example of, you know, an unfortunate example of water temperatures that are having a detrimental impact or negative impact on the fish supply of a particular species. You know what that might mean is, like, oh, we see triggerfish or mahi, or, you know, some other species that are a little bit warmer water species that we wouldn't normally see. And to be honest, that's like not the worst thing, because, you know, we like unique, different species and a unique variety of species. So, like, if we see like local Spanish mackerel, that would actually be pretty cool. But, you know, that said, I'm not endorsing, like, you know, climate change or for our customer, for a good portion of our customers, they love fish and they're interested in fish and they want to try different stuff, and we get excited about it, so then they get excited about it as well. So I think, yeah, that would be kind of a welcome bit of variety mix. Again, that said, I'd rather the ocean temperatures stay as they are and we just bring it in from the Mid-Atlantic.